Alright, well, I thought we'd do a little Fleabay edition here this morning, and a few interesting things. I don't know that there's anything stellar, but a few interesting ones. First one up is I've changed I've saved things into my watch list. We've got a little Atlas 7B Shaper milling machine cross slide rail. Now this has been on here for a while, and like I say, I saved it into my watch list. Originally listed for $32.99 and $24.99 shipping. I got a offer for it for $24. So I would suggest that no one pays full asking price for this stuff. Save them into your watch list unless they're just a stellar deal to start with. I kind of watch this stuff just to see what they do or how they're moving, and this is no exception. So there was an offer here. I'm not interested in it. I'm not purchasing it, other than I think it probably has been, either this has been listed or this may be a fairly new listing at $32.99, because usually they've been putting these out at least double that money, which they're not worth it. So anyway, let's move on here and see what we see under mills. Now there are some things here. Let's make sure I'm looking at what I think I'm looking at. Okay, Atlas Mills. Now this one's a Shaper listing, but it's under Mills. Atlas 7B Shaper milling machine S7-60A brass spiral gear, $29.99 and $3.99 shipping. This is from one of our normal sellers, and what does it say here? Yeah, it just gives the listing and then condition is used. Now, and I was a little hesitant here because there's a seller here that's actually doing a real good job, and we'll get to him here in a bit, but I wasn't sure where it was when I looked at this morning. Let's look at the pictures of this gear. $30 there. Again, we're talking used gear, so I feel pretty much the same way as I do about used bushings and things like that. So anyway, if we look at this gear, now I'm not sure about these tracking marks here on the end. Those may actually be a manufacturing mark, when they've got those locked in position as they cut those gears. I don't know, but anyway, that realistically would be a non-issue. But when we go to the next picture, and I zoomed in on these earlier, if we look right along here, look at those tracking marks, and look at that. This gear is wore to crap. Why would you want this piece of junk on your machine? You can't really see it, but that second picture, you can see a little bit of that tracking mark and the little ledge that it's worn in there. On that, if you're interested in these, go back and zoom in on those pictures, and that second picture especially will show these tracking marks right along here. This is a piece of garbage gear. Why would you want this on your machine? You can have one that's virtually wore away and it's not going to be in any worse condition than this is. This has got tracking marks here. You can very definitely see the tracking mark right along here, and same way with the beginning of it here. A piece of crap gear. Anyway, Atlas horizontal milling machine M1-116B plate, pre-owned, $29.95 and $6.95 shipping. This is a different seller. These plates, if I actually needed one of these plates, I would be, let's see, there we go, there's a good picture. If I actually needed one of these plates, I would just build one. These are chrome plated. They've got 2 alignment pins. You've got 2 holes here and a bushing. I would, if you've got a lathe or a milling machine with a index head, you can turn this pretty easily. I would build those out of aluminum. If you want to plate them. Otherwise, I would polish those up to a high polish and slam those on your machine. This will be a project down the road. We'll build some of these later on. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and measure, but I think probably a piece of 1/2-inch plate would do that. Now, these were originally cast. They were a Zamac casting, and then they just got a flanged bushing in them. Those standard, readily available $3 flanged bushings that you can have, like I say, alignment pins on both ends. Otherwise, it's a flat plate on the back, got a boss on the front. So easy to build, easy. Nothing else really new and exciting that's earth-shattering on this. If you go down farther down, there's another one of those milling machine plates, $35 and $6.50 shipping. I'm not even going to look at it, but you know, they're listing this one to be a little bit less expensive than the one that's already listed. Don't waste your time on this junk. Junk. Let's look at, what are we looking at? Shapers. Shaper. Nothing new here. This is where that 7B cross milling machine cross slide, well, it's a shaper cross slide rail, is the S7-4. There again, you know, once we get down to a decent buy of about 35 bucks or whatever they offered at 24 bucks, 25 bucks. Once you get down to that offered price, that's a fair deal, but why do you need one? You know, if you've got a machine, you're not going to get, if you've got one on a machine, you're not going to get anything better by ordering this one. Let's go to lathes here. Oh, somebody's already jumped on one, and we had a seller here that is, and I saved one of his items into the list, and we'll go back and look at it. He has somebody's already jumped on at least 2 listings that were here, and maybe a couple more. Inner guard bracket 9-152 from a vintage Atlas metal lathe, TH42, $17.99 and $9.95 shipping. Now, this is the inner guard. That's about what they go for. There's nothing spectacular there. But let's go back and look at his listings here. And I did find this interesting. His description is auctioned for a heavy cast iron inner guard belt bracket assembly, exactly as pictured. Came from a 10-inch vintage Atlas TH42, serial number 2 3/4 inch cap. Wear and tear, dust and dirt, rust and pitting, some paint loss, but in good working condition. Local pickup available. Now, he's got this listed for $17.95, and I make it a habit normally not to list sellers. I'm going to give you this seller's name for the simple reason that, and there's nothing spectacular about this listing here, but I'll give you this lister's eBay name, just from the aspect of he had some listings here that were fair. They were reasonable prices. I almost bought one, but I didn't need it, and that's the one that I've saved in my watch list, and it's Don't 8997, and he's got pretty good feedback, 99.8%. He's got a whole lot of feedbacks here. DONT 8997 is his name, and I'm not slamming on this guy at all. He's put stuff out for a decent price, and that's pretty much all I've got to show on this edition. But let's go back and look at one of his listings that I saved. I don't believe there's anything else here. He's got a 41-inch lead screw assembly. This is the same seller. I'm sure we will look at this, and I'm not going to bother looking at the pictures. You can go and look at this because you know who he is. He has a 41-inch lead screw assembly from a vintage Atlas metal lathe TH42, and he gives a serial number. He's got this listed for $29.99 and $15.03 shipping. I don't think there's anything worth looking at here. I don't even really care about the condition of these parts. Their machines being parted out, we know I don't like that, but what he is selling things for, and this lead screw may be very well worn too, but it's a let's read his description, and it starts out saying, for a heavy steel, about 41-inch long lead screw assembly, exactly as pictured, comes from a 10-inch vintage Atlas lathe, and the same listing: wear and tear, dust and dirt, rust and some pitting, some paint loss, but in good working condition. So you can at least go and look at the pictures and see if this is a viable option, because he's wanting $29.99 for this lead screw. Well, every other time you see him, these guys are wanting 75 bucks minimum, up to about 150 bucks, and they're pieces of crap. So these are reasonable prices. You know, I have to give him credit, which is why I told you who he was without you having to go look. The only other thing is, let's go back and look at his at this one that I saved here. See if I can find it here in my saved list. Here it is, right here. And I almost purchased this. So this is ended. Well, this ended an hour and a half ago, or yeah, a little more than an hour and a half ago from when I looked at it. Let's go back and look at the original listing here. Vintage tool holder assembly 10302 for the vintage Atlas Metal A TH42. Same thing. This is the compound assembly, which would hold your tool post on there. Well, let's look at the picture of it. This is your compound assembly. Now, the bad thing about this, there's a big hunk out of it right here. Handle's broken off. You know, but if we look at the sum of the parts, look at there. There's those 2 screws for $3. You know, I think I sell them for $3 or $4 for the new replacements. These are the ones that guys are wanting $20 for the original screws. You know, pieces of junk. Let's quickly go through, just see what I see here. Nothing really telling here. Like I say, handle's broken off on one side. Not in exceptionally good shape at all. It would be functional. This is a big detraction from it right here. And his listing, I can tell you, says the same as the previous listings that he has listed on here. Got some scarring here. Like I say, that corner's broken out. It's about what you would expect to find in, you know, for a used piece of junk, other than the corner being broken out of the T-slot there and the broken handle. You know, other than that, why, it's about what you normally expect to see. These guys put these out here for, you know, $100, $125, $80. He listed this for $18.99 and $9.95 shipping. You know, so I have to give this guy kudos. These are being sold for what they should be sold for. You know, and if we continue to hammer on these people to where we drive all the prices down to where they're a reasonable price, either they will be parts that we can afford to buy and use and you know, have a reasonable cost on, or these guys can just pack sand. So anyway, this is a seller you might want to, I'm going to continue to watch what he puts out there, because he may you know, he may continue to sell stuff at a reasonable price, and if he does, he's going to be one of the good sellers here on Fleabay. So anyway, that's really all I've got for you today. This was just a quickie. These were the main reasons that I started looking at this stuff, or decided to do this little Fleabay edition, was because I saw what he was putting out here. So other than that, I don't really have anything else for you today. There has been a couple of things sold lately. There was a set of index centers for the mill that had a buy it now of $2.99. They weren't in spectacular shape by any means, and I think, as I remember, there were some things that had been changed, but $2.99 was a better price than these guys trying to put them out there for $700. Yeah, and this one was coming out of Alaska, $2.99 and $18 shipping. And I don't know that there was anything really that stood out to me. I looked at these, but I didn't see anything really spectacular about them. Looks to be pretty much all original. It seems like I saw one or two things that were not original to the machine. The key slots on the bottom on this one they're showing has been changed to a brass slot. But that's no big deal. The screw that locks the plunger in, it looks like somebody's tapped that and put a screw in. That would have been a little knurled screw, so that's changed. It's kind of beat up. It's not in great shape, but it's a whole lot more reasonable cost and pretty much original compared to what you see these guys trying to pass off out there for their $600 and $700, which is, these, you know, even from a collectible standpoint, $300 is about what these are worth. I wouldn't give any more than that for them. Anyway, off track. I'm not going to take the time to really show that much of those anyway. So anyway, that's my little Fleabay edition for hopefully the week. Hopefully we won't have to do another one tomorrow, although who knows what foolishness they'll list tonight. So hopefully you find it useful. Comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section for me below. And as always, guys, thanks for taking the time to watch.